This bulletin is also live on DSTV channel 279. We are streaming across the world on Facebook at TV3 Ghana, where you can join us with your thoughts and comments. We begin from the camp of the largest opposition. The opposition National Democratic Congress is demanding the immediate dismissal of Attorney General Godfred Dame, accusing him of tarnishing his high office. Addressing a news conference to back up claims of the impropriety by the AG in the ongoing ambulance purchase trial, the NDC also called on the General Legal Counsel to commence disciplinary action against Godfred Dame.
Expectation has loomed large over the shoulders of the opposition party following the announcement they had intercepted evidence against the Attorney General Godfred Dame, who, upon witness statement of the third accused in the ambulance purchase trial, was engaged in witness tampering to implicate the minority leader Ato Forson. Even before the national chair would lay bare their facts, the party questioned the government's true intent in prosecuting the minority leader, insisting it was a move to gag him.
We firmly believe that the decision to take the minority leader and some others to court over this matter was born out of malicious, sinister, and wicked desire to silence him through unjust imprisonment, nothing more, nothing less. As we publicly stated from the very onset of this case, the timing and circumstances of this so-called prosecution shows that it was instituted mainly to intimidate and silence the then-ranking member of Finance.
For the NDC, the actions of Godfred Dame in the audio tape shared with the media was engaged in a dubious plan to secure conviction at all costs. In the said audio, Richard Jakpa, the third accused person in the ambulance trial, is heard engaging the Attorney General, discussing evidence to be presented by the accused in court. At some point in the conversation, Richard Jakpa is heard telling the AG, "The difficulty I have with your position is that if I agree how you want to go about it and how I will be answering questions, frankly speaking, I will be dishonest because I know that's not how it's supposed to be." He proceeds to say, "I will be dishonest in such a way that I will be assisting for someone I know is completely innocent about this, for example, Ato Forson, to be jailed because I knew something was wrong, was not the way, and I decided to keep quiet and to answer the question in the way that will make your case better for you to jail him." For the NDC, the Attorney General's actions flouts the country's legal professional conduct. For the party, President Akufo-Addo must fire the AG and prosecute him.
The immediate and unconditional resignation or dismissal of Godfred Dame for bringing the high office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice into disrepute and public opprobrium. Clearly, Mr. Dame is not fit to hold himself out as Attorney General and Minister of Justice. He is unfit to be the leader of the Ghana Bar. The immediate prosecution of Godfred Dame for multiple violations of the laws of Ghana. We wish to make it clear that should President Akufo-Addo refuse or fail to prosecute him, a future NDC government will prosecute for this heinous crime of fabrication of evidence.
For now, all eyes rest on what possible response the Attorney General will muster to the damning allegations.
Despite intense pressure and allegations from the National Democratic Congress, the governing New Patriotic Party insists that the Attorney General, Godfred Dame, will not resign. At a press conference addressed by lawyer Frank Davies, the NPP accused the NDC of orchestrating a smear campaign to derail the prosecution of minority leader Kezla Ato Forson in a major corruption case, asserting that Dame remains resolute and committed to upholding justice.
Because the NDC have since last week set in motion a malicious scheme fueled by lies, falsehoods, misrepresentations, blackmail, and needless pollution of the mass media with the sole intention of obstructing the course of justice and scandalizing the criminal proceedings in the High Court, all in the bid to shield Atuforsen MP, minority leader in Parliament, and former Deputy Minister of Finance, and his associates from taking responsibility for authorizing some payments which resulted in a whopping sum of 3.27 million euros lost by the state, monies that belong to us all as Ghanaians. It is no secret that the NDC ever since the commencement of Atuforsen's prosecution has threatened rain and storm against government, the Attorney General, and any person they can find to cajole the Attorney General from discontinuing the prosecution. What at all do the NDC want from this young man? The youngest Attorney General the country has ever produced. The latest allegation by Richard Jakpa, the third accused and an associate of Kesel Atuforsen in this botched ambulance procurement transaction, is therefore only a further ploy contrived to curtail the prosecution of Atuforsen and smear the Attorney General's integrity and reputation. But this, I can assure you, will not work. It is unacceptable that Johnson Asiedu Nketia will run a commentary over the alleged tape calculated to prevent Ghanaians and discerning people as such from making their own deductions and reasoned judgment. Even in respect of what was played, it is apparent that there are repetitions, overlaps, incoherence, voiceover, and distortions, demonstrating that the NDC has spent these past days distorting whatever tape they played.
The NPP continues to say calls for the resignation of the Attorney General will not affect the prosecution of the minority leader, Dr. Kesel Atuforsen. According to them, the call is misplaced and unwarranted.
If it is the firm belief of the NDC and Atuforsen that no laws had occasioned the state from its conduct, then they should just remain faithful to our judicial system and seize these malicious orchestrations targeted at bastardizing our judicial system and to prevent him from standing trial to its final conclusion. They should just keep quiet and let the proceedings in court continue. We are very clear in our minds that the cause for the resignation of the Attorney General is misplaced, unwarranted, and this will not put any spokes in the prosecution of Kesel Atuforsen and his associates. Ladies and gentlemen, the call for the resignation of the Attorney General coming from the NDC is very, very rich. The NDC calling on the Attorney General to resign from office. That is rich Ghanaians. The AG will not resign. He will continue to remain witty, resolute, and focused in the delivery of his work, as he does always. The wheels of justice, we say, grind slowly, but eventually it will grind to a halt.
Meanwhile, private legal practitioner Justice Remsai is of the view that the decision by the Attorney General to contact Richard Jakpa, the third accused, is grounds enough to accuse him of attempting to influence Mr. Jakpa.
And that is why there is a rule which all lawyers have, that if you are prosecuting a case, do not engage the accused person without the lawyer. Even in pre-trial, in all what we call plea bargaining proceedings, the requirement, once the accused person is being represented, you need to engage him through his lawyer. Right. Again, even if the accused person is not being represented, I have heard people say that you don't have to, you can engage him directly. Yes, you can do that. But we've forgotten that there is a rule which says that when somebody is accused and he doesn't have a lawyer, you need to offer him a lawyer. So the point we are making is that it doesn't matter if we should, the tape exists. So the press conference does not deny the fact that the tape exists. Their allegation is that, yes, it is him, he is the one speaking, but we believe that the tape was in a way edited to take some things out. Fine, that is what doctrine means. But what we are dealing with is what is the most senior prosecutor in the country Attorney General, the person who has power to prosecute, what was he doing with an accused person in an active case he's prosecuting?
Well, in court, the presiding judge hearing the 2.37 million euros financial loss to the state involving the purchase of ambulances has given a stern warning to parties in the case regarding public commentary. Speaking to prosecution and lawyers of the accused persons, Justice Efiesewa Asare-Botwe indicated that she is disturbed about the public commentary on the case. My colleague Lord Edu Asare sat through proceedings and reports.
Justice Asare-Botwe called out the NDC communications officer, Sami Gyamfi, over comments he made in the aftermath of the allegations by the third accused, Richard Jakpa, against the Attorney General.
And if he can go to a witness and seek to influence the witness, to court the witness, coerce the witness to testify, okay, in a manner that will help him achieve his aim, then he is capable of talking to a judge. He is capable of talking to a registrar or any officer of the courts to have his way.
The presiding judge warned that she would not tolerate public comments by parties in the case which cast a slur on the judiciary or prejudice the case. She admonished former Attorney General Marietta Opombrew and Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tia-Yeboah to speak to their respective teams to be circumspect in their media engagements regarding the case. Prosecution led by Deputy AG indicated that he had filed an affidavit in opposition to an earlier motion to stay proceedings by lawyers for Dr. Ato Forson. Speaking after the hearing, Alfred Tia-Yeboah explained the AG's absence.
If anybody thinks that he may want a committee to be set up, I disagree with such a person, and I don't see anyone who may want to even think that it's a matter that borders on the integrity of the Attorney General or any other thing. He's very resolute, he's well composed, he's out of jurisdiction. He'll be back to continue his work as an Attorney General.
NDC Communications Officer Sami Gyamfi spoke to journalists.
In principle, the caution of the court was in order, and it is something that we in the NDC agree with. And that is why, right from the outset, we have been very circumspect in whatever we say on this case and have ensured that the court is not in any way or form scandalized. I think the particular reference to me was something that, in my humble opinion, the courts, got wrong. And I took the opportunity to draw the court's attention to the fact that the said comment was not about this court or the presiding judge in this trial.
The case has since been adjourned to next week, Tuesday, for cross-examination to continue, as well as motions filed by lawyers for Ato Forson. Now, these motions are still proceedings, as well as an application challenging the competency of the prosecutor on the case. Lord Edu Asare, TV3 News, Accra High Court.
You're still watching the morning news here on TV3. I am Godwin Asideba. This is your election command center. The Electoral Commission says it has changed its mode of publishing data on the limited voter registration to prevent future mistakes. The EC chair, Jane Mensah, at a special engagement in Accra with news management, noted the commission has resorted to the use of Excel instead of Corel Draw in its data publication. Beatrice Edu reports.
The Electoral Commission gave details of the next big exercise that the Commission would embark on, setting the 2nd of December for special voting for certain individuals who would play a role on December 7.
Special voting exercise is a process that enables registered voters who are assigned specific duties on election day vote ahead of the main election day. In Ghana, such category of voters is regulated and limited to officers of the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Armed Forces, the Immigration, the Fire Service, Customs, and the Prison Service, as well as the polling officials of the Electoral Commission and permanent staff of the Electoral Commission, not forgetting our media partners who will carry out important functions on election day. The special voting will take place on Monday, the 2nd of December 2024, in all 276 constituency centers across the country.
The EC also explained why it got its data wrong on the ongoing limited voter registration exercise.
because they were relying on Corel Draw to come up with these pie charts and graphs and so on, that they were doing this manually. And so what we have done is to go back to the drawing board and use Excel. And so we may not have those colorful, graphs, and the focus should not be on that, because the application that was being used was not able to do accurate tabulations. And so you found that people had to do, they had to do it manually.
The National Development Planning Commission has unveiled a Vision 2057 agenda to make Ghana an upper middle income country. It is an enhancement of the 40-year development plan by allowing political parties to adapt their manifestos to this long-term vision. Take a look.
The new development framework addresses peace, security, science, innovation, land administration, early disaster warnings, maternal mortality, natural resource utilization, inclusive education, and macroeconomic stability. Concerns, however, have been raised that the government has abandoned its 40-year development plan.
About why long-term development plans have not withstood the test of time. The Commission has come to the conclusion that rigid plans prescribing projects, programs, and actions will not survive under the current political dispensation. A dispensation that requires parties to subject themselves to the electorates based on their manifestos, which tell voters that these are the programs, these are the projects, and these are the development actions that they intend to implement when given power.
He proposed a constitutional instrument that would mandate political parties to create manifestos that align with the framework.
In fact, the Constitution itself states that in the Constitution, that they should continue. But then we have not been able to make them accountable or use the constitutional instrument to do that. And of course, it requires maybe some constitutional a CI to really, give meaning to that phrase in the Constitution that requires that you continue.
The Director General of the NDPC, Dr. Mensa Abrampa, emphasized the housing issue in the document it aims to address.
Because if somebody moves from Nandom, seeking a greener pasture, and the person is able to go beyond Bolga, Tamale, Kumasi, all the way to Accra, it means that our intervening opportunities are not working. And these ought to be responded to consciously, deliberately. And these are the targets we've made for some of these towns.
The Vision 2057 framework aims to transform Ghana into an upper middle income country.
Group CEO of Media General, Beatrice Agyeman, is advocating for the reassessment of the Right to Information Act to ensure its optimal efficiency. She made the observation when the Information Minister, Fatima Abubakar, called on her.
The Information Minister and her team were warmly received by the Group CEO of Media General and some management members. Fatimatu Abubakar emphasized the media's vital role in nation building and government's commitment to addressing challenges and enhancing journalists' capacity.
In the absence of information, people will just have to make use of speculation or even misinformation. And we advocate for facts and fact-checking, so we have to also provide the facts. And we are amenable to ensure that except where such information are exempt, when people apply, they must get it.
Group CEO of Media General, Beatrice Agyeman, urged the minister to assess the advancement of media freedom and reassess the implementation of the Right to Information Act.
When I watched your confirmation, I told myself one thing, that when I get the opportunity to meet you, I would ask you to evaluate the achievements and challenges of media freedom in the country. It's very, very important that you do that. We also believe that we need to relook at the implementation of that RTI Act. I believe that it can be strengthened more awareness, I believe, should be created to empower, especially journalists and the citizens, to utilize it properly.
The sector minister acknowledged the possibility of making modifications, but urged the continued use of the Act and its procedures. The visit is part of her ongoing engagement with key media industry stakeholders.
A scintillating CEO indeed. On that note, that's how we end the morning news here on TV3. My name is Godwin Asidiba. For more news, kindly log on to 3news.com. See you soon tomorrow and have a good day.